Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Achilles Financial, and today we're going to be talking about PayPal. PayPal announces earnings this Wednesday, May 5th, and I think that there is a lot of potential going forward. The stock has had a strong past 2 weeks, although they did have a little bit of a sell-off with the broader tech industry this Friday. However, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because the broader industry did have a sell-off following a monster earnings run by a lot of the FANG stock. So the question here is, what is PayPal going to be doing for earnings? What is the potential going forward? Keep in mind that we have seen heavy put volume coming into the stock market, and I think that now is going to be interesting to watch to see how the overall market performs now that some of the largest names in the stock market have already announced earnings. Some of these other companies which are doing very well may start to see some of that selling pressure. That being said, PayPal is getting ready to announce another expected monster earnings, and I have a lot of faith in the company and I like where they're headed. However, it's important to note that when we talk about some of the valuations for the stock is very highly valued. You can see here that they are currently rocking a PE ratio of 74.14 as well as a price to sales ratio of 14.36. Now, one of the things that is relatively interesting is the PEG ratio, which is essentially the price over the growth rate, is 3.25. So there is some expectation that should this be a lower number due to the results that come out this Wednesday, that the expectation of this super strong growth rate could propel the stock higher because they are a very low PEG compared to some of the industry. So again, they are currently commanding a very high valuation. However, they've been growing at a rate that kind of supports that. If we look at some of the growth rates here, you can see that their EPS growth over the most recent quarter was a whopping 54%, and the trailing 12 months EPS growth is 71%, which is phenomenal. In the tech space, we do have some incredibly high valuations. It's important to note that a company like PayPal is doing all of their growth in a very profitable format. And you can see that their revenue growth over the trailing 12 months is right at 21%, which is huge. And we can actually see that growth in real time by looking at that income statement. So this is a company that 5 years ago, if we look at the annual, 5 years ago, they actually had $9.1 billion in revenue, and that has steadily climbed over the past few years, with 2020 being north of $21.4 billion in total revenue. Now, when we talk about the investor presentation that they released at their last earnings, talking about their 2020 results, they discussed their idea or their target for $50 billion in revenue, which they're targeting for 2025. And the company is heavily investing in their platform to be able to accommodate that. So all of this growth, all of this additional money, especially the net income right here that they're reinvesting into the company, has to go somewhere. And I think a lot of the product capabilities is really going to see itself evolve into the company continuing to grow forward. Or if we were to enter a period where there's a lot of tech selling, this is still a company that I'd like to own. Some of the key items of growth for them is their user cash-based transactions, which is going to be largely surrounding around their Venmo transaction. Again, the more and more users who are utilizing their platform to be able to buy and sell and send money to other peers, I think is a market that really hasn't been monetized at this point in time. The other piece of this that I think is going to be heavily influential for this company is as they continue to evolve into the investment side of the house. There is a lot of money flowing into the investment community, and I anticipate that PayPal will continue to monetize that, especially as they've come to the forefront as a company that has the capability to continue to explode higher from a growth perspective in association with its crypto capabilities. As crypto becomes more mainstream and as companies continue to experience the trading capabilities of a lot of these crypto platforms, I think that you're going to see a company like PayPal continue to be a leader in that space. And for that reason, I think that we're going to see some of the upward momentum, if not on this earnings, then at least over time. They have the stock capabilities, they have the user transaction capabilities. The important thing is going to be what they can say or what they can note from whether or not their clients are actively continuing to utilize their services at the same rate as they did at the height of the pandemic, which really exploded forward the adoption of the online transactions or just the touch-free transactions. All of this, I think, is going to continue to propel PayPal to be higher in the future. I am bullish on their earnings report, and I am looking to potentially play the options for their earnings report. However, I do recognize that the company is in the tech space, and tech is looking pretty weak because they just had a monster run-up. Now, when we talk about some of that, I do want to highlight that there are some of the different trust in different groups that we can look at. Invesco QQQ is essentially a group that makes up a lot of the larger tech service companies. You can see PayPal is included. You can see a lot of these companies in here have had incredibly strong years, inclusive of Facebook, Google, Nvidia, and here's PayPal, Microsoft as well. So all that being said, if you look at this year to date, the companies, or we'll look at the 10-day, they had some major upward momentum over the past month, going from around 330 to 340, but most of that was a sell-off this past Friday. The reason I highlight this is because PayPal is going to be susceptible to any potential sell-offs, despite the fact that they may have incredibly strong earnings. All this is important to note because we will be watching this going forward. All in all, they're expecting strong revenue growth, strong profitability growth, and their product lines continue to show a lot of strength. So we're going to be looking at some key metrics, which are going to include their daily users in terms of the growth, their cryptocurrency portfolios and how they're going to utilize being one of the first movers in the space, as well as online transactions from their commercial clients and if they've seen any slowdown there. All this being said, I am not a financial professional. I'm just some guy on YouTube, so make sure you do your own due diligence. So if you find this content helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below or check out the Discord in the description. Thanks. Talk to you later.